Hi, and welcome to Adobe Photoshop Basics class. I'm your instructor, Dan Hood, and today's lesson is Lesson 1 about opening images in Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop is an image editing software package that is used for photographers, graphic designers, and anyone else interested in editing images and photography. The first thing we'll do is we'll look at the workspace in Adobe Photoshop and what it looks like and what kind of information it can tell you. To open files in Adobe Photoshop, there are a few different ways to do it. The most simplest and basic way to do it is to go under your menu items, go to File, and go to Open, and that will bring up your Open dialog box to where you can choose the image you wish to open. In this case, I'm going to open up the cowboy image, our working image, and we'll go ahead and open it. Alright, so that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is to, instead of going to a menu item, we're going to use quick keys. In this case, I'm working on a Mac, but in PCs on Windows OS, it'll be very similar. The difference, it may just be a word here or there. In this case, to open an image with quick keys, you'll go to Command O, and that'll bring up the Open dialog box, just like it did before, where you can go and open your cowboy image. In Windows, that will be Control O, and it'll do the exact same thing. So in Windows, it would be Control O, and that would open up your dialog box to where you could choose your image. Okay, now there's one other way to do it, and this is a bit of a little tip or a trick for you. This is really actually probably the fastest way to open an image in Photoshop. What you simply do is see this dark gray area here that you have when there isn't any images open in your window. Just simply take your mouse and your arrow and just double click inside the gray area, and that brings up the Open dialog box once again. Let me do that again just to show you. You just have your big gray area here in your window, in your empty window. Double click it, and it brings up the Open dialog box to where then you can go and navigate to your image and open it. That is actually probably the fastest way to do it. Okay, so now we have our image open, and I'm going to point out a few things in your image window that'll tell you a few statistics or basic information about your image. If you look at the upper left hand corner, you'll see a tab here that tells you some information about your image that is showing at the moment. In this case, the name of it is Cowboy, and it's a JPEG file, and its zoom level right now, or the percentage zoom level that you're viewing this at the moment, as you can see here, for me is 33.3%. And then also in parentheses, it shows you the color space that we're using right now, which is RGB, and there's a few different color spaces that we will get into and discuss in later lessons. And along with that same line, the 8 stands for 8-bit color depth, which we will get into also. And then if you go to the bottom on the left hand side, you'll see here, once again, you'll see the percentage of view of zoom level you have, which is 33.3%. And then right here, it shows you the physical, the size, file size of your document. So here it's document 5.15 megabytes, and that's how large your document is. Now, if I were to change the size of this or change the resolution or something else, you would notice that your file size would either decrease or increase considering what you did to the image. Okay, so that is the way to open up images. Simply, you can go to File, go to Open, that's one way to do it, or you can use a quick key, which on a Mac is Command O or Control O on your Windows machine, and open it that way. Or you can simply double click inside the window to open it. Okay, so now the other thing that we'll go over is how to create a new document. Besides opening images or opening photographs in Photoshop to edit, you can actually create documents from scratch. Say, for instance, you wanted to create some kind of web graphic for your website. Say like a bar, a menu bar for different menu items on your website, you know, like one that says About Us, Home, Products, stuff like that, where there's a menu bar. Well, you can create that in Photoshop. So let's say that you were wanting to create a new document in Photoshop. Well, it's very similar to what we were just talking about opening documents, but in this case you would go to the File menu and go to New. And there it gives you different options for your new image. Now, the other way you can do it is very similar. You can go Command N for New, and it brings up the options dialog box again. Now, as far as making a new one, you can't just double click because that will do open. But you can go to File, New, or do Command N on Mac or Control N on Windows to create a new document. So let's go ahead and create a new document, and I'll show you a few details of the new document menu, the new document dialog box. Okay, first of all, you have under the dialog box, you have the name here. If you wish, right now, you can create the new name of your new document. And in this case, I'm going to call it New Document. Now here you also have a drop-down menu of presets. And what presets are, they are standard sizes that are used for different media applications, such as you have US paper sizes. So that would be standard US paper sizes, say letter size, ledger size, legal size. And as you can see, that indeed comes up. You have letter, legal, or tabloid size. Other things that you can do, you have international papers, that's like A4 paper and stuff like that. Photo sizes, which are standard landscapes, 4x6, 5x7s, 8x10s, portraits, that sort of thing. And also you have things for web design. Say like on web pages you have the different banner ads and stuff like that. Well, they have banner ads, rectangles, skyscrapers, all of the standard banner ad sizes. Alright, so, and as you see, every time that you choose a different style, say for instance we're going to do a skyscraper type banner ad, which says 160 by 600, and what that means is it's 160 pixels by 600 pixels. And as you can see, that is conveyed below in the width and the height of your image, of your document size. Now you can change these to different different increments. So like right now it's showing as pixels, but you can also show it as inches, centimeters, picas, other different forms of measurement. So let's say if I were to change this to inches, you would see this convert itself into inches, and that's what it would be. So let's go back and let's just, for the sake of argument, let's go ahead and go back to US paper, and we're going to set it up as a legal in a letter size document. And as you can see, in inches measurements, a letter size document is indeed 8.5 inches wide by 11 inches tall. So below that you have a thing called resolution, and actually this is a very important concept in Photoshop. A lot of things depend on your resolution. We will get into that in the next lesson, I believe, about exactly what is resolution and how it's important. In this case, you can choose different resolutions here, and it's always based on pixels per inch. Now this is what we were talking about earlier. There's color mode. This is RGB color. There's also other different color modes. The ones that will probably be most frequently using is grayscale or CMYK. Then you have your bit depth, your color bit depth, and you have 8-bit, 16-bit, and 32-bit. Without going into great detail of what this all means, by default, and what we will use and most designers or photographers use in the industry is 8-bit. So we're just going to keep it at 8-bit and really not talk about that a whole lot. It'll come up a little bit in the next lesson. So anyway, there are the most basic options to choose for when creating a new document. So if I were to press OK, it would bring up, as you see, a letter size document. And from there you can start creating your document. Say, like for instance, you can use the paintbrush to start painting on it, making shapes and lines. So that is a basic tutorial, a basic lesson on how to open image documents in Photoshop or how to create a new document. Thanks.